Um, so let's scoping and reviewing. And so this is now where we're thinking about um, if we are scoping or reviewing a work that's been done, what should we be thinking about and how should we be thinking about it? And the key things we want you to take away is we should review why safety is considered, whether or not it's considered a primary need in the purpose and need. And you should take a look at the major categories of information that should be documented and be sure that that gets conveyed to the team. And then we want you to be able to identify the major topics to include in the safety analysis documentation. And we've kind of structured this module, again, is to sort of help with maybe a job aid, that might be a little strong, but just as maybe a cheat sheet to help review and understand what you should be doing. So the very first step in understanding existing safety performance is compiling all your data, and the typical data as is shown there. So definitely you're going to need roadway traffic volume and crash data as we've demonstrated. And then you're going to want to go out in the field, look at user behaviors, look at traffic flow, things like that. The next step is you're going to identify and evaluate or analyze data and trends. And we've talked about the array of ways to look at that. And hopefully we've conveyed the value of rate, critical rate, and even that potential for safety improvement. That's maybe kind of the state of the art right now in identifying whether there is a site where there's potential for safety improvement. And that's then the evaluation. Do we have more crashes than expected, or is there a crash type or severity overrepresented? And then if so, safety is a primary need or safety is not a primary need. So when you're scoping or reviewing work that's been done, you have this list to look at to see, well, has the team considered this array? Is there some gap, or is there some nuance that we need more investigation? But this is maybe just sort of a checklist of things to think about as you're scoping or reviewing an existing conditions analysis. So if safety has been determined to be a primary purpose and need, then, and this is important, right? Then your improvements must address the safety issue. And if it's not, then you're not off the hook. You still want to be sure that your improvements, the alternatives being developed, you want to understand the safety implications of them. So in either case, if safety, as you're doing the alternatives analysis, you will be looking at either crash modification factors or the predictive method as appropriate. It's just how all that gets documented at the latter end is important. And I work in a variety of states, and we're starting to see states that if the purpose and need says safety, then that needs to be a documented benefit in the NEPA statement, and so it's an important piece. So key topics that should be considered as you're reviewing and then subsequently in the documentation. So safety and the purpose and need, and I mean, this is getting repetitive, but I think it's important to convey that there is maybe a specific methodology to this. There are things that happen over and over, and the critical need to document stuff. So whether or not safety is in the purpose and need, what was your study area and years, what methods did you use, were there caveats and considerations, the results, and the evaluation and documentation. So all of this needs to be critically considered. And for the study area, what roads and intersections, and Rob made a good point that you need consistency in your study area across your alternatives because of the critical because traffic volume and segment lengths are a critical piece of the predictive method. You want 5 calendar years, 5 complete calendar years, and so that's January to December. And I encourage you all to start thinking about and talking more about that certified data from CAR that isn't a requirement, so sort of broaden the perspective on that. And then be sure we're looking at opening and design year and all those years in between, remembering that 21-year nuance that Rob just mentioned. You're going to need crash roadway and traffic volume data. I hope we've convinced you of that. And so you want to be sure that you present that and caveat any sort of nuances that are notable. For your existing conditions analysis, you want to be looking for a mix of tables, maps, and graphics, looking at all these things: number, type, severity, mode, rate, comparison to state averages, any overrepresentation. Probably PSI should be on this list. But ultimately, what you're looking for is to understand existing trends and characteristics, and specifically, should safety be in the purpose and need statement? And if the answer is no, the answer is no, and we're doing a good job with our system. So things to think about with existing conditions. When it comes to evaluating alternatives, in the CMF category, you want to look at what the CMF value is, of course, the source, and the justification for the selection of the CMF. What are the, does it match your base conditions? Is the star rating appropriate? Is crash type and crash severity appropriate? And then obviously, what are the results of the analysis? If the predictive method is used, were the right models selected? Is there a calibration factor? Was the correct calibration or factor applied? Or are we doing a relative analysis, which is fine, but just we need to know what models were used, literally what software. Again, the critical assumptions and the implications of the results. And something to remember here, and we started to see it in Rob's example a moment ago, is there's the total, you add up the crashes across the ramps, the ramp terminals, and the freeway segments, and maybe crashes go down, but for pieces of them, maybe the individual component of the ramps, the crashes go up. Is that okay? Is that not okay? We just need to be aware and document it. But overall, our objective is, what's the safety performance of the design alternative? So what are the implications to crash frequency and crash severity of our design alternatives? And are there any mitigations we should think about to address any concerns we might have? And lo and behold, we are going to talk about documentation again. So fundamentally, this could be an outline to the safety chapter or safety report about a project. So executive summary, your introduction, but look, study area, analysis years, method, data, existing conditions, alternatives, and results. So this isn't a groundbreaking outline, but comprehensive and would sufficiently address documenting a safety analysis. So let's change gears to a Mentimeter, sort of our getting down to the end. Did I pass? Okay, I did. So, project team is conducting a PD&E project to convert a rural 2-lane highway to a rural 4-lane highway. So, we've got some questions. I gotta get screwed this up. So a project team is conducting a PD&E project to convert a rural 2-lane highway to a rural 4-lane highway. Should the team conduct an existing conditions crash analysis? If so, how many years of crash data should they use? And this is that part where everybody participates. So I am not seeing results here. Robert, is there something wacky about my Mentimeter?
I don't know. Maybe. I'm looking. Hold on. Let me look at mine. Yeah, because there's lots of responses. So yes, there's something going on with yours. So
All right. Do you want to share?
I can share screens, or you can hit refresh maybe.
Let me try refresh real quick.
Maybe exit out of it and then back in. It should.
It's thinking. So this.
I see lots of.
Aha.
There you go.
Excellent. Okay, that feels better. Whew. So yes, in at least five, most recent 5 calendar years, latest certified. We're gonna that's our follow-up back to the FDOT team. Historical, at least five, only to document the need for roadway reconstruction. Yeah.
So Beth, I know after yesterday we had a little bit of back and forth with Brenda Young about that 5-year question. We didn't convey that at the beginning, right? That her response on that, did we convey that?
We did not. In fact, I don't. If you could pull the email up.
Yeah, I pulled the email up. So I was just going to share with everyone that that she said that the safety and the state safety office kind of they hear the confusion, they understand, and that there's confusion on the interpretation of the most recent 5 years of complete data, and that they're working with the district safety engineers and representatives from different technical disciplines, in a working group to develop clear guidance. So I think to me that the takeaway I got from that was that there is an understanding of that there's some confusion about this, or differences of opinion, confusion. They're working on guidance, and in the interim, she said just share questions and thoughts on this. So as they are going to develop this guidance. So
thanks. So that's helpful.
Yeah, and I just offer that, Catherine, if you want to add to that, feel free. But that's I think that's important for everyone to hear. That there's
no, and I appreciate it, Robert. That's what I heard her say. Yep. So yeah, like you said, there's still the question, and the safety people are trying to figure it out, and they'll let us know when they know. But in the meantime, if you have questions, reach out to your district or to Brenda.
All right.
So the next question is, how do you know if safety should be in the purpose and need? If PSI is positive, right? History of crashes, depending on the type, yep. Review the trends and conduct a PSI. Recurring safety concern. Yep. Road safety audit is a good way. Existing safety issues. If the agency identifies they want a safety project and safety is warranted, yes. I know that's a long-standing issue. Public input is a definite maybe, depending on their determination of issues, and often they're right. Often it's a security that they're talking about, and that's a different story, a valid one, but maybe not when it comes to funding projects. That could be higher.
Yeah, so I just based on some comments I'm seeing there, one of the things is one way to think about it is there's a safety, talk a lot about defining the need for well, not safety is a need on some projects where the safety performance is very good. We still talk about safety, but we talk about maintaining that good performance of safety. So there's in a sense, there's more than one way that it would be in, and so someone mentioned, it's in the manual. We got to, we need to, yes, we should absolutely be thinking about it. And you just might handle it differently you do need to handle it differently on different projects.
Right.
We certainly don't want to make it worse. We can.
If we're using safety funds on a project, this is hard, right? If we're using safety funds, but maybe no crashes aren't overrepresented. The location isn't. I've seen this in states. Crashes aren't overrepresented. It's not high on a state priority list. Yet the region has been able to negotiate funding a safety project. That becomes difficult in a data-driven evaluation to document the safety need. So difficult. Okay. Should the EB method be used on our project? So again, we're converting a rural 2-lane highway to a rural 4-lane. And should we use the EB method? This turned out to be a trick question without even trying. And it looks like most of you are interpreting it in the context that we set it out. Should we be using the EB for the predictive method in the alternatives investigation? And that answer is no. But for those of you that said yes, because it's part of the PSI, you're absolutely right. Okay. And we are nearly done. Let me just switch back, to this real quick. So, key takeaways, like this is wrapping it up to the highest level, right? So you've spent 8 hours with us, 7.5 hours with us, and we roll it up to 3 bullets. So if safety is a stated primary purpose in the purpose and need, then the improvements must address the safety issue and the evaluation must demonstrate the benefits. If safety is not in the purpose and need, safety analysis must be used to identify design features and proven safety benefits. So we're looking at safety in the alternatives investigation. I think we should have had a key takeaway about existing conditions, and that we're conducting that analysis to understand trends and contributing factors. Should safety be a primary need? And if not, are there things we can address nonetheless? And then we're estimating safety performance when you're doing that in alternatives investigation in PD&E studies. Is there anything, Rob, is there anything like just pops in your head that, oops, we should have said that?
No, I don't think so.
And then documentation, we're talking about documentation again. So again, it's document for the purposes of repeatability and transparency, and so that somebody can take a look and see which CMFs you chose and why you said safety is or is not a potential issue. how you applied the predictive method so that they can more or less say, yep, I agree, or no, I would like some tweaks here or there. And if you're in the scoper, you're from the perspective of somebody setting up the project, these are some areas for you to be thinking about going toward the end.